When she imagined herself running in the Olympics, she never questioned that it would be in the 5,000 meters. It was her race. And while she was never so arrogant as to regard making the team as simply a formality, she would be forgiven if she had. As the first person in NCAA history to win both the indoor 3,000 and outdoor 5,000 meter titles, she was used to coming out on top. But when the 5,000 meter final was over, she had finished in sixth place. Yet one bad race, even in her strongest event, was not going to keep her off the Olympic team. She had one race left, the 1,500 meters, and she decided she would just have to nail it. Today is Friday, July 18th, 2025, and on this day in 2004, Carrie Tollefson turned heartbreak into triumph as she won the women's 1,500 meter final at the Olympic trials in Sacramento, punching her ticket to Athens. In this episode, we'll learn more about the native Minnesotan, talk about that tumultuous week competing at the trials, and then sit down with Carrie Tollefson herself to hear what that race was really like. I'm your host, Running Up That Hillary, and you are listening to Today in Running History. All right, let's talk about Carrie Tollefson. She was born and raised in western Minnesota, and by the time she was a teenager, she was already a running phenom. State rules allowed middle schoolers to run on the high school teams, so starting in 8th grade, Carrie began her streak of 5 state cross-country titles, winning the championship every year between 1990 and 1994. Carrie's running talents translated well from the cross-country course and onto the track, and during high school, she won 8 individual titles in the 1,600 and 3,200 meters. By the time she graduated in 1995, Carrie held 13 individual track and cross-country titles, which remains a Minnesota state record. The winning continued as Carrie ran collegiately for Villanova University, and it was there that she won the 1997 NCAA Cross Country Championship and the 1999 NCAA Indoor 3,000 meter and Outdoor 5,000 meter titles. Okay, that was a lot of winning. So let's fast forward to the 2004 Olympic track and field trials in Sacramento, where scorching temperatures had an impact on all the athletes vying for a spot on Team USA. Carrie's third place finish in her 5,000 meter heat and time of 15:38 got her to the finals. But despite running a faster time of 15:25 in the finals, 3 days later, she finished a disappointing 6th place. Pivoting to the 1,500 meters, Carrie took 3rd place in her qualifying heat, just behind Marla Runyon and Susie Faber-Hamilton, who had both represented the U.S. in that event at the prior Olympics in Sydney. Everything came down to the final 2 days later. Shortly before the race, Susie Faber-Hamilton dropped out, so only 14 women were on the track when the gun went off. Carrie Tollefson took an early lead and was able to hold on to it until the final stretch of the race. It was at that point that second-place runner Jen Toomey surged ahead of her. In the final 20 meters, Tollefson was able to edge out Toomey and take the win with a time of 4:08.32. Carrie Tollefson had officially made her dream of making it onto an Olympic team a reality, even if it hadn't gone exactly like she'd imagined. I recently had the opportunity to sit down with Carrie and talk about this race when we were both in Duluth for Grandma's Marathon Weekend, and I am thrilled to share that conversation with all of y'all. All right, I am here in Duluth, Minnesota with Carrie Tollefson, and we are going to go back to Sacramento, California on July 18th, 2004. Now, you had a crazy week that week leading up to this race, and it was not all great. So tell us about where your mind was going into the final for the 1,500.
Yeah, I ran the 5,000 meters earlier in the trials, and that was really going to be my event. Like, I was super excited about that. I think I had run like the 7th fastest time in U.S. history there. So it was like, this is the event, Carrie, that you are showing yourself that you could potentially make the Olympic team in. And in that race at the Olympic trials, I was in it with a K to go, and I was getting ready to set my kick, but I was starting to hurt, as everyone does in the last K of a 5K. And I just kind of relaxed for a second when I needed to make my push. And 3 people went by me and I ended up finishing 6th. So it was a tough moment. But then I rebounded and came back and ran the 1500. My coach told me not to lead, and I led every step basically.
That's one of the questions, because I watched the footage from the race. So now, right before the race, where was your head up? Was your plan always to lead, even though he told you not to, or was that a spur of the moment?
No, I think when you have run 2 5Ks and then a 1500 meter prelim to get to the final, and it was on NBC prime time because it was a big event, big race. It was going to be 116 degrees on the track, they said. It feels like. So my coach was like, here, you've run so much already. You have to just play this safe and sit and kick. And he believed in my kick, especially in the heat. And, being from Minnesota, we kind of run through it all. Yeah. And so that grit is something that we kind of thrive off of having hard conditions. And so he said, but I do need you to sit and then really use the last 500 to make your kick, to make your move. And that's what my plan was all along. Whether I found myself in the lead or not, I needed to know 500 meters out was where I was going to go. And unfortunately, I led all the way up until the last, 75 meters when Jen Toomey just started to go around me just a little bit. And I was thankful she did, actually, because it woke me up and it got me going.
Yeah. And at that moment, where did your mind go? Was there part of you that wanted to accept, you can get second place and still go? Or did you, what made you really dig deep and end up getting that win at the very last split second?
That is a really good question, because obviously, we in the US have one of the hardest teams to make, but we always think about top 3. Mm-hmm. And in that moment with 50 meters to go, and I was chasing my way running my way back into the lead, I was thinking top three. Yeah. But then I started to think, win this thing. And I'm thankful I did, because I was the only one that made the team that day, because no one else had the time standard. Yeah. So it was a wild way to make the Olympic team, but very, very thankful.
And so you didn't have the standard at that point. So you ended up running another race the following month to get the standard. Okay.
So I would have made the team the way I did, because with the B standard, you can win the Olympic trials and make the team, at least at that time. Things are always changing.
Yeah. Can't keep track of that.
But I ran 5.5 races in 12 days right after the trials, because I went to chase the standard along with 3 other Americans, because there were 3 in that race. And then Susie Favor Hamilton
she dropped out right before. She didn't start the race, but she was supposed to.
But because she had some sort of buy or some way that, because even though she didn't start, she still had an opportunity. Because she had the trial or the Olympic standard.
Okay.
So anyway, I went over to Europe and I raced every race I possibly could. And I needed to be the first American in every race. And I'm telling you, that was harder than making the team and running at the Olympics.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure. And that's a lot in a row. I can't even imagine, I'm running the marathon tomorrow. And then just the moment that I finish, done. Yeah. I can't imagine finishing and then you have to immediately turn around and do that again. Yeah. Now, 1500 meter runner, it's a quick race. So less than 4 laps. Which lap would you say is the hardest?
I always talk about the 3rd lap, which most people do.
Yeah.
I would have to say, though, mentally, the 2nd lap is hard, because you have to work the 3rd lap. Yeah. So I try to tell anyone that I'm coaching or, talking to, giving advice, turn your brain off for the first 2 laps and then really work that 3rd lap. But that brain starts to turn on in the 2nd lap. So I do think if you can re-engage and just start talking to yourself about your race strategy and start focusing in on that 2nd race, it's almost like 2 races in the 1500 or the mile. Yeah. You get through the first race, the first 2 laps, done. Then you really have to start over and start, kind of focusing in on calming yourself, speaking positively to yourself, and get ready for the kick.
Yeah. Now, looking at your entire professional and collegiate career, where would you say that race ranks as far as favorite memories?
By far on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Olympic Games was such an amazing event for me, but the way that I came back from disappointment in the 5K and to know that I had the determination and the perseverance, and I think even just the will to be the best that I possibly could be in a time where I was really low. you think of making an Olympic team, it's once in a lifetime opportunity for some of us. And it's a big dream for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't happen that one day, every 4 years, you have to wait. And for me, in 2008, I had pneumonia 3 weeks before the trials. I could not run for 10 days. I was so sick. And there was no way I was going to make the team that way. So I'm really, really thankful for that day in 2004.
That's so awesome. That's great. And forever an Olympian.
I know
that's something you always
tatted.
Oh yeah. It's officially on your skin.
Yep, just got it. Took me 20 years, but I got it.
Very cool. Now, you were not a parent at the time. You became a mom in 2010?
Yep, Ruby was born in 2010.
Okay, cool. How has your approach or thoughts about running changed since becoming a mom?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, I miss all the opportunities I had. Yeah. I loved running in high school, in college, and as a pro. It was so fun. And I think the best part about it was my teammates and the community around me. I mean, I loved winning. Yeah. I loved, coming back from disappointment. Yeah. I loved kind of the grind of getting through injuries and seeing what I could come back to.
Yeah.
But I also just think that it was this one big happy family. And I actually told my daughter that before she started cross country. I said, don't do this for me. Yeah. Don't do it for dad. Don't do it for anyone else. But know that if you decide to do this, you will be surrounded by the best people.
Yeah.
And your best friends will come from this sport. And that is truly what I think. That's why I'm still doing this commentary. That's why I still travel around almost every week and miss my kids. I miss Ruby win state with her team because I'm in New York doing commentary. But part of that is, it's not that I'm choosing the sport over my kids or my husband. It's just that it's become a family. And, Ruby would tell me to go.
Yeah.
So she got on ESPN with her team. So that was pretty cool too.
That's awesome. That's very, very cool. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And you started running as a child as well, right?
Yeah. I have 2 older sisters, so I started the sport in 7th grade so I could be on the team with my one sister that was still in high school.
That's awesome. So all these years later, decades later, what still gets you excited about the sport of running?
Oh my goodness. So much about the sport. But I think the best thing for me as an athlete and then also now as a commentator, like just learning the stories of people and being able to share that with people. This sport is not easy, no matter what level you're at. If you're just starting it, if you're starting it as a child or you're starting it as an adult, it's hard.
It is.
And, every single person goes through that. And I think that sometimes we have to remind each other of that even if you're winning or you're a world record holder, Olympic gold medalist, it's still hard.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what I love. I love that every day I go out for a run, I'm doing something hard. Or if I'm taking a day off, it's because I've done something hard, and if we go through life knowing we can do hard things, we will be pretty awesome. And I just think that no matter where you are, if you finish this race tomorrow, if you don't, but you have a reason why, and you're going to get back out there, like that's pretty awesome. And you will take that through life for the rest of your life.
That's a great answer. I love that. So just one more question. You did briefly dabble in marathoning. Would you come back and run Grandma's marathon?
Oh, I would love to. I mean, to be honest, that's kind of the tug of war I have every year that I say yes to doing commentary at something, is that I'm saying no then to racing it. And you'll find me quite often doing the 5Ks before Chicago, before Grandma's, things like that. But no, I love doing the marathon. And the reason I did it was so I could be a better commentator. I needed to learn what the marathon was all about personally. And I did my first one 4 months the day after I had our second baby.
That's awesome.
And it was wild. I thought I was seeing Jesus. It was crazy. But I shouldn't put it out there, but maybe I will. I'm turning 50 soon in a couple years. And I keep thinking maybe I should try to break 250 before I turn 50. Or just get back in the 250s. So we'll see. I've only done 3, but I think I'll do some more.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome to hear. I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much, Carrie.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Wow. Such a great conversation. And I love how much running remains a part of her life more than 2 decades after competing in the Olympics. That is all I have for y'all today. Thank you so much for continuing to listen, like, share, subscribe, and otherwise support this podcast in any way you can. I hope all of y'all will join me tomorrow as we head all the way back to the 1900 Olympics in Paris for yet another blistering and disastrous marathon, this time with just 7 finishers. I'm your host, Running Up That Hillary, and this has been Today in Running History. talk about that tumultuously. I'm gonna separate this. It's like I struggle when I try to put too many sentences into a thing. I'm gonna start over at the today is Friday. Okay. 5 state crunchy titles. Those crunchy titles. All right, and then here's where the interview will go. Hey, Carrie. Oh, hi. We're in Minnesota. Yes, we sure are. This is a conversation. Okay.